Hello students. So once we know the material properties and the failure of a material, how the fracture of a material can occur in the application. Now we need to know what are the different types of load which are going to occur on the material. Say for example, if a component made up of some kind of material is under the application, we need to know what are the different types of loads which are going to which the material is going to encounter. Then easily we can predict the properties which a material demands in that application. So we have seen the different types of failure under tensile, compression and shear. Now in the coming slides we will know what are the different types of loads which a material is going to encounter in the practical application. So in that category, the first type of load which a material or a component can encounter in the practical application is a fatigue. Normally we use this term when we are under tension, okay, when there is a work pressure, okay, when there is a deadline, okay, so we say we are under fatigue. Fatigue means a combination of loads, okay, which a component can encounter. Say for example, a rotating shaft, okay, a rotating shaft will encounter twisting, okay, and there will be axial load which is going to act on the rotating shaft. Means there is a load which is going to act on that one along with the twisting moment. Means a combination of load. The best example for this one, whenever we take a wire, if you want to break that one without any aid of any tools, or will break that one, so we'll keep on bending it in a opposite direction. Okay, so what will happen in that way means if you are going to bend, if you are going to bend the thin wire in this direction, then whatever the surface is here will under compression and whatever the surface is here will be under tension. So if you are going to bend it in a opposite direction like this, so which was under a compression, now it will be under tension, and which was under a tension, now it will be under a compression. Okay, so we'll repeat this bending in opposite direction until the wire breaks into two pieces. Means the application of alternative loads, okay, alternative types of loads, okay, a surface is subjected to different types of load, okay, so simultaneously, okay, in a successive movement, a tensile and a compression, okay, that is what we normally call as a fatigue. So in other words, here we say it's a fluctuating or a repeated load, okay, it's not a constant, okay, the amount of load which is going to act on that component will keep on changing with respect to the time. The strength and service life of several components get reduced, okay, we can't predict that one. It is very difficult to predict when we are going to get a fluctuating or a repeated loads. Okay, say for example, if a component is designed to have a 90 kg, okay, or 100 kg, okay, so if the load keeps on changing, okay, 50 to the 40 to the 60 to the 80 to the maximum and to the minimum and all, so that is what we say like a repeated loading, okay, or a fluctuate loading. So under those conditions, so the component will not be in a position to take up the load. Okay, so fatigue occurs at a stresses well within the ordinary elastic range. Okay, that's what we need to know. It will not go into the plastic region, but it will undergo in the plastic range itself. So fracture resulting from fatigue is very difficult to predict. Okay, why? Because see, so it is not a single type of loading which a material or a component is going to encounter. Okay, for that one, so it is very difficult to predict that one. Okay, so the best example even we can take up for a fatigue loading is a shock absorber. Okay, so shock absorber, whenever we are going to ride it on a normal highways, then we can say it is under a constant loading. But when it is a dumpy road, like a village roads and all, okay, there the spring is alternate subjected to tension and compression as well as axial loading. Okay, so in that cases also, okay, so we call that one as a fatigue loading. So when you see what are the different types of loads, okay, so in the fatigue, so we say one is a completely reversed stress cycle. Okay, one is a repeated cycle where we are going to have, say, if it is going to have a 10, so all the 10 will be repeated in every cycle. Okay, so when it comes to the completely reversed, we say plus 10 means next time it will go to the minus 10, then plus 10, like that. Okay, so the whole cycle, that is a positive cycle, will be reversed in order to take up into the negative one, or in alternate term we can say tensile and compressive. And one more is irregular or random. We are not in a position to predict what exactly the loading is going to appear. Okay, so what exactly these completely reversed cycle? Now if you see it here, okay, so we have a zero line. Okay, that is a baseline. So above that one we have a sigma max, and below that one we have a sigma minimum. Okay, it can go up to the max plus 10, and it can come minimum to the minus 10. Okay, the negative term indicates to the compression, and the positive term indicates to the tension. Okay, and in between that one, if you take the mean of that one, sigma max, okay, plus sigma minimum divided by 2, you are going to get this as a sigma mean. This as a sigma mean, or you can say a sigma m also, where we are going to say that one. And one more is a stress amplitude. Okay, stress amplitude is the maximum value of the load which it has going to encounter. Okay, so that's how exactly we are going to say a completely reverse cycle which go to the maximum plus and a minimum minus. Okay, so where we can say sigma a, okay, sigma r, that is a range. Okay, so this is the total range, sigma max to the sigma minimum. What is sigma max and sigma minimum? That is the range of a stress, so it can vary in between minus 10 to the plus 10. Okay, so next sigma max, sigma minimum, and sigma mean. Sigma mean is a 0. Okay, that is a baseline which you are going to take up. Okay, so now you can see here the bending of a steel wire continuously in either directions. Okay, so where I gave an example of a breaking up of a wire. Okay, a thin wire which without any aid of a tool, if you want to break that one, so you are going to apply the load, that is a bending of that wire in a opposite direction. Okay, as I said, there will be alternate compression and tensile stress which is going to occur on the material. Okay, so next is a repeated cycle. Repeated means so if I have a 10, so everything will be like a into that plus only, so everything, the maximum value will go up to that one. Okay, so you can see it here. Okay, we have a sigma max, okay, and sigma minimum will be above the baseline itself. Okay, and the sigma mean is the max divided by minimum, that is the median value of that one, and amplitude is the maximum value which can occur above the mean line. Okay, and the range again, it is a sigma max and a sigma minimum. Okay, so now a member subjected only in tension, but to various degrees. Okay, means only either a positive or a negative. Okay, but the value will not remain same, it is not constant, it keeps on fluctuating. It keeps on fluctuating. A spring subjected to the repeated tension as in a toy would be an example to the fatigue failure. Okay, So here what we can see, only it can occur in a positive or only it can occur in a negative. Okay, so all these values will keep on changing. Okay, so if it goes to the 10, it may come to the minimum 2, then again it goes to the 10, again it comes to the 2. Okay, so range is something like a, it changes in between 10 and 2. Okay, so the last one is irregular or random stress cycle. So next is a irregular or a random stress cycle. Okay, so where you can see it here. So there is no maximum or a minimum or amplitude or a, average or a range of value. So the values are irregularly, okay, randomly distributed, either to the plus or maybe a negative. Okay, so the best example we can say it is here is a aircraft wing subjected to a wind loads. Okay, so the wind speed or the loads which are going to occur, okay, in the space are not same. Okay, the load keeps on changing here. Okay, so these are the three types of loading. Okay, so where we can say one is a random repeated, okay, that is a random stress cycle, one is a repeated, okay, and one is a completely reversed cycle. So if you go on taking the examples of the components which are under loading condition, you can see most of the category, okay, most of the components will fall under one of these category. Okay, so only normally we say the components which are under these types of loading are very difficult to predict the failure of the components. Okay, so once we know the different conditions, okay, we need to know how exactly the crack propagates in the fatigue. Okay, or you can, in other words, we say stages of a fatigue failure. Normally even in the growth of a human being also, we say like an infant or maybe adult. Okay, or maybe when it comes to the old ages and all, so we have a different ages. Okay, so depending upon the age group also, so the characteristics or the properties will change. Okay, so even in the same way, so whenever a component is under a fatigue failure, okay, so there are few steps through which the crack or maybe the nucleation of this crack is going to take place. Okay, so when you see in the stages of a fatigue failure, so we have three steps in that one. So one is a crack nucleation, means so how exactly the crack gets initiated, and crack growth, so how the crack grows. Okay, so as we have discussed in the failure of a material, so the micro cracks which are going to appear on the surface of the component will coalesce or will add up together. Okay, then the growth of the crack is going to take place. Then is a fracture means a breaking up into a two pieces or a fragmentation. Okay, so now in order to see the crack nucleation, so as it is under a different types of loading, you can see there is a micro cracks which are going to form on a surface, which are going to form. So how exactly these cracks are going to form? Okay, so there are few theories which are going to define the formation or the generation, or you can say the nucleation of these cracks on the surface. Okay, so next these micro cracks will coalesce or will add up. Okay, and they will add up, and the crack will grow in that direction. Okay, and the third one, the fracture. So the crack will propagate. Okay, so in a what you call favorable condition or maybe favorable direction, as we have said, maybe in a shear or maybe in a pure ductile material, the fracture will take place exactly at a 45 degree to the applied load. So similarly, okay, so here also whatever the favorable conditions are there, the crack will start growing in that direction. Okay, and the failure of a material will take place. Even in the brittle also we said normally intergranular failure will take place, we said. Okay, the crack will propagate through the grain boundary and the failure of the material is going to take place. So like that also, even here in the fatigue, okay, the crack will propagate and it leads to the failure. So now, as I said, in order to have these crack, the nucleation of the cracks, so we have four theories. So Wood's theory, Orwan's theory, okay, Cottrell and Hull theory, and Mott theory. Okay, but here we are going to discuss two, that is the Woods and Orr ones. So how exactly one can understand how these cracks are going to appear. Okay, first is the generation, means or else how these cracks are going to get nucleated in the surface of the metal. Okay, say for example, if you consider a surface of this metal, okay, so when it is under the loading condition, say for example if it is under a positive, okay, so then because of plastic deformation there may be a slip, there may be a slip means the two atomic plane will slide with respect to each other. Okay, and when the loading is in a different condition, okay, as I said, like completely reversed cycle, so where we are going to have a plus and a minus, that is a alternated tensile and a compression, then what will happen, so once it is going to slide or slip in this direction, in other direction when the compression is going to occur, the slip will place in this way. Okay, means so alternate slip bands are going to form on the surface of the crack, surface of the specimen. So you can see as the loading cycle increases, the slip bands starts increasing in the numbers. Okay, so you can see the type of loading here, so once it may be positive and once it may be negative. Okay, so as these slip bands are going to propagate throughout the surface, okay, these are going to lead to the nucleation of the cracks at the vicinity of these slip bands. Okay, so that is what we have seen here. So these slip bands are nothing but intrusions and extrusions. Intrusion and extrusion means so whenever we are going to change the cycle of loading, then these starts sliding with each other. Okay, so sliding with each other means at the point of sliding, okay, so these micro cracks starts nucleating. Okay, once these micro cracks gets nucleated, then they starts growing. Okay, and then the fracture of the material is going to take place. So what we say, like typically the crack growth period accounts 70 to 75 to 90% of the fatigue life in the part. Okay, so if you look for Orwan's that is polycrystalline model theory, so what he says here is so already we have seen, okay, a polycrystalline material will be having a number of grains. Okay, and each number of grains are provided with the grain boundary. They are going to have a well defined grain boundary. Say suppose if we consider any intermediate grain, say for example here they say grain A is a weak. Okay, so this is a weaker one. So if you are going to apply the load, okay, apply the load in a different condition, so these grain will will be under the alternate cycles, under a tension and a compression, means these grain boundaries will slide with respect to each other. And if you can remember, we have seen these things in the crystal imperfection also. Okay, crystal imperfection, in that one surface imperfection, that is a 2D defects. So these grain boundaries are the weak points. Okay, when these grain boundaries are going to slide with respect to each other under what you call completely reversed cyclic loading, so then a micro cracks starts getting initiated at the grain boundary. Okay, so that is what normally we have said it here. Okay, so grain A is continuously yields in opposite direction. Opposite direction means it is under the alternate positive and negative cycles are under tension and compression. Okay, at the faster than the rest of the grains. Okay, so hence number of micro sub cracks may expected to form at their boundary, that should be noted. Okay, so when these things slide with respect to each other, okay, so the sliding moment will give rise to the micro cracks at the grain boundary, and that micro cracks, okay, so will coalesce or will add up in order to give a crack growth in a definite direction. Means these are the two theories by which we can say these like how the cracks will get initiated or nucleated at the surface, and they may lead to the failure of a material by the fragmentation. Okay, so we can say in general these fatigue cracks begins at the surface of the specimen. Okay, probably because the grains which are adjacent to the surface are less bonded. Okay, they are very free to move. Okay, so normally whenever we want to improve the fatigue strength, so we go with the surface treatments. Okay, hardening the surface. Okay, or maybe sand blasting the surface. Okay, so like that, so the surface will be hardened to make sure to increase the strength of a fatigue strength. Okay, now how we are going to evaluate? Okay, so how we are going to evaluate the fatigue life of a component? So before using, say for example, I gave an example of a shaft. A shaft is rotated, as well as there will be a axial loading. Okay, so now how we are going to evaluate? So in order to evaluate the fatigue life of a component, so R.R. Morey has proposed one experiment. Okay, that is what we say, R.R. Morey reversed bending machine. R.R. Morey reverse bending machine. Okay, by which, using which one we can evaluate the fatigue life of a material. So you can see here. Okay, so this is the specimen. Okay, which is held in between a bending housing. Okay, here they will be having a grippers, and here we are going to apply the load. So here we are going to have a motor. Okay, which is going to rotate with the high speed. Okay, and here we are going to axial loading. That is what we said. Okay, so what we said, so there will be a rotation, there is a twisting movement. Along with that one, there will be a axial loading also. Okay, so in at which speed, okay, at which speed of that motor the material is going to fail, that one we are going to note it down. Okay, so now once we note down these loading and rotations, so we are going to drop a curve. Okay, with respect to the stress and number of cycles. That's very important. Okay, that is what we say, SN curve. S stands for stress and N stands for a number of cycles. Number of cycles means so how many rotations it can withstand with the axial loading. Okay, so they will take a number of rotation. You can say 10 power of 1, 6, okay, so 8, like that. Okay, number of cycles. So means it can withstand so many thousands of cycle, so many thousands of cycle, so before the fracture. Okay, so here also we can say the sigma value, it may be amplitude. Okay, or maybe a maximum value or a minimum value. Okay, that value we can take. So now here very important thing to be noted here is you can see there are two kinds of SN curve, one for pure ductile and one for a moderately ductile. Okay, so you can say one for a mild steel and one for a aluminum alloy. Now here you can clearly see the curve bends up and takes a horizontal value, that is a constant value. But for a purely ductile material, the curve keeps on decreasing. Okay, now here you can say there is a horizontal value means so clearly it indicates so there is a stress value. Okay, so if you are going to operate well below this one, the material is not going to fail at all, is not going to fail at all. That is what we say like a endurance limit. Okay, endurance limit or a fatigue limit. Okay, so we can say, so endurance limit is the stress below which if the material is operated to any number of cycles, the material will not fail. But if you take the same thing for a pure ductile material, okay, so there is no such an indication. Okay, so we need to say for these many stresses. Okay, say for example for this stress, so how many cycles it can withstand. Okay, we need to specify the stress. So as we have if you recall, we have seen a secant and a tangent modulus. Okay, when there is no linear relationship existing between the stress and the strain, then we are going to use a secant and a tangent modulus. Okay, so there we need to specify the stress. The same way here also we specify the stress, then we will say yes, you need to operate well below these many number of cycles, these many number of cycles. Okay, so that is what you can say here. Okay, so material will get a horizontal line below which we can operate for a n number of cycles. And now So once we understand what is a SN curve, how we can obtain a SN curve, and how the crack is going to get initiated in a fatigue loading and all. So we need to know what are the terminology we use to define that one. Okay, so here we use a fatigue life. Fatigue life means a number of cycle. Okay, so number of cycle. So for any given stress, there are n number of cycles below which the specimen can be used. Okay, so is a given condition is a property of an individual specimen and is arrived at after a testing of a number of conditions under the same life. Okay, so fatigue life for a p percentage survival NP. So it is a fatigue life for which p percentage population of a samples tested have a longer life. For example, so N90 is the fatigue life for which 90% of the sample would be expected to survive. Means at these many cycles, okay, 90% of the specimen will be life of the specimen is already over. Only 10% of that one is remaining. Okay, so median fatigue 50%. It's a average of that one. So fatigue strength, it is a stress at which material can withstand repeatedly n number of cycles. That is what I said. So once we see that horizontal line for a mild steel, so below which even if you operate n number of times below that level, so it can withstand n number of cycles. Okay, so endurance limit, it is a stress below which a material will not fail. Okay, so if you operate below that one, so it will not fail easily. It will not fail easily. Okay, next, so factors affecting fatigue life. Okay, so whenever we are going to design any component, okay, so we need to look into these points, okay, to increase the fatigue life of a component. Okay, so one is effect of stress concentration. Stress concentration means so you might have seen maybe these chips pockets. Okay, say for example lace pocket, okay, or any plastic covering material. Okay, so if you want to tear that one, you might have observed there they will give one symbol. Okay, that cutter symbol where you are going to tear from that page only. Okay, that whatever the bent portion or maybe what you call the lower portion is a stress concentration area. So if you are going to tear from that indicated direction, then it will tear off very easily. Okay, that is what we say like a stress concentration area. Okay, that sharp edge, you can say a sharp edge or maybe a hole. Okay, so all those things are stress concentration areas. Okay, means those stress concentration areas are the weak points from where the crack can propagate. Next is a size effect. Okay, so as we have seen, fatigue the cracks will propagate at the surface. Okay, so means the surface of the specimen should be as minimum as, so that it will minimize the weak points. Okay, the chances of failure will be less in that one. Okay, so that is what larger members have a larger surface area. So because the imperfection will cause at the surface will cause a lesser fatigue life. Okay, so next is the surface roughness. Okay, so if the surface roughness is more, if it is not smooth, okay, then the what you call roughness will be more, means the points of micro what you call producing the micro cracks will be more, and the failure of the material will be more. So whenever we want to have that one any component for a fatigue loading, okay, better to have a very good surface finish for a material. Okay, so next is surface residual stresses. Okay, so intentionally we are going to introduce compressive residual stresses at the surface. Okay, so you might have seen maybe when we are going to use the ship bodybuilding. Okay, ship bodybuilding, that sheets and all, it is sandblasted in order to introduce the compressive residual stresses at the surface, so that it can withstand the cyclic loading as well as for gripping of the painting. Okay, so even we are going to use those things. Okay, so introducing locked up, that is compressive stresses, okay, at the surface will increase the fatigue life. Okay, then effect of a temperature. So low temperature will have a very good fatigue strength. Okay, high temperature will decrease the fatigue strength in that one. Okay, in the components. So effect of environment. Effect of environment means so if there is a corrosion environment means the material will get corroded at the surface. Again, those corroded surface will act as a point of initiation of micro cracks in that one. Okay, so means these are the 6 points one has to keep in mind in order while designing a component for a fatigue strength. Okay, next, how to avoid. Now we have seen what are the points to be taken care, but even while designing a component we can avoid these things. Okay, so as we said, these are the point of stress concentration areas. To avoid that one, so instead of a sharp edges we can go for a fillet. We can go for a fillet. Okay, next, surface treatment. So as I said, we cannot avoid a small or maybe a bigger surface areas. So instead of that one we can go for a surface treatment where surface is hardened. Surface is hardened with the help of a surface heat treatment. Okay, so next, introducing of a residual compressive stresses. We can introduce a residual stresses with the applying of a external stresses. Okay, next is a case hardening, that is a surface hardening, and the last one is a reduce the corrosion. Okay, by reducing the corrosion we can reduce the fatigue strength, fatigue failure of a component. Failure of a component means overall we can see. Okay, so what is a fatigue life? Okay, so how we can evaluate the fatigue life of a material? Okay, so what are the different mechanisms by which the micro cracks is initiated? Okay, so what are the points to be considered while designing a component, and how we can avoid that one? How we can avoid that one? And one more very important thing is to evaluate the fatigue life of a component. So one is to know what is the RR bending test. Okay, where we can plot a SN curve, that is a endurance limit and all. Okay, so in the next coming lecture, so we will see what is a creep, what are the different stages in the creep, so how we can avoid that one. Okay, what are the importance of that one when it comes to the practical application. Thank you.